The first thing I remember after the crash was the taste of blood and glass. Not the pain, that came later. The airbag powder made everything look like a dream, but the metallic tang in my mouth was real enough to anchor me to consciousness while my car finished its graceful flip into the ditch. My name is Edith, and that day 2 years ago changed everything. The drunk driver who T-boned me walked away with a scratch. I got a spinal injury, a partially paralyzed left leg, and enough titanium in my body to set off every airport security scanner from here to Tokyo. You're lucky to be alive, the doctors kept saying. Lucky. Right. Try telling that to someone learning to walk again at 26. But I fought. God, did I fight. Through surgeries, through physical therapy, through nights when the pain was so bad, I thought about ending it all. My therapist, Ciara, became my best friend during those endless sessions. She never let me quit. Come on, girl, she'd say, supporting my weight as I struggled with the parallel bars. Show that leg who's boss. After 18 months of pure hell, I could walk with a cane. Not gracefully, but I could walk. I went back to work part-time as an accountant, moved into a ground-floor apartment, started piecing my life back together. Then the settlement came through, $150,000. Not a fortune, but enough to secure my future, cover ongoing therapy, maybe even start my own small business someday. You earned every penny of that money, Chiara told me over coffee last week. What are you going to do with it? I smiled, stirring my latte. Be smart. Invest most of it. Maybe treat myself to a really good wheelchair for bad days. That was last Tuesday. Today is Monday, and I'm staring at my bank statement like it's written in alien hieroglyphics. The balance reads $3,121.89. There must be some mistake, I tell the bank manager, Sharon. My hands are shaking so hard I can barely hold my cane. I never authorize these withdrawals. Sharon clicks through screens, her face growing increasingly concerned. These transactions were authorized using your power of attorney. Multiple withdrawals over the past 18 months, ranging from $5,000 to $25,000. The room starts spinning. Power of attorney? I never gave anyone power of attorney. According to our records, your parents have had POA since... She squints at the screen. March 15th last year. March 15th. I was in surgery that day, having another vertebra fused, heavily sedated, completely vulnerable. I leave the bank in a daze, barely feeling the sidewalk under my cane. My phone buzzes, a text from my brother Jackson. Hey sis, great news. My new tech venture is taking off. Investors are already showing interest. The pieces click together like a nightmare jigsaw puzzle. Jackson's endless string of failed startups. My parents' constant enabling of his entrepreneurial spirit. The way they dodged my questions about helping with medical bills lately. I drive straight to their house, my hands white-knuckled on the steering wheel. Mom answers the door in her perfect pencil skirt and pearls, looking surprised to see me. Edith, we weren't expecting you today. The money's gone. My voice sounds strange, distant. My settlement. You took it. Dad appears behind her, his face doing that thing where he tries to look concerned, but can't quite manage it. Now, sweetheart, let's discuss this calmly. Calmly? I laugh, and it comes out sounding like broken glass. You stole from me while I was in surgery. Mom's face hardens into that familiar mask of righteous authority. It was never just yours, Edith. You're not the only one who needed help. Help? I grip my cane so hard I think it might snap. Jackson needed help while I was learning to walk again? Your brother has real potential, Mom says, her voice ice cold. Sometimes family means making sacrifices for the greater good. I look at them, really look at them. My mother, perfectly coiffed and utterly unmoved. My father already retreating into his study like he always does when things get uncomfortable. These people who raised me, who I trusted, who watched me fight my way back from the brink. And I realize this isn't the first time they've betrayed me. It's just the first time I've been strong enough to see it. I didn't sleep that night. Instead, I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop, methodically downloading every bank statement, every transaction record I could find. My hands shook with each new discovery. Wire transfers, cashier's checks, all flowing straight into Jackson's latest ventures. At 3 a.m., Ciara showed up with coffee and her trademark no-nonsense attitude. "Tell me everything," she said, pulling up a chair. I pushed my laptop toward her. "Look at this. March 15th, the day they got power of attorney. I was in surgery for 8 hours. Ciara scrolled through the documents, her expression darkening. "This is fraud, Edith. Plain and simple." "They'll say I agreed to it," I said. "That it was for the family." "Bullshit." Ciara pulled out her phone. "My cousin works with this lawyer, Apollo. He specializes in financial fraud. Let me call him." Before I could respond, my phone buzzed. Jackson. "Hey, sis!" His voice was bright, carefree. "Mom said you stopped by. Everything okay?" "You know it's not." My voice came out steady, surprising me. "The settlement money, Jackson. My settlement money." "Oh, that?" He chuckled. "Look, it's all going to pay off. My new app is revolutionary, connecting pet owners with premium dog walkers through blockchain technology. Once it launches, I needed that money for medical care. Come on, Edith. You're walking now, right? Meanwhile, I'm on the verge of something huge. Mom and Dad understand that sometimes you have to take risks." I hung up. Ciara was watching me, concern etched on her face. "I'm getting those documents," I said. "The power of attorney papers. I need to see exactly what they did." The next morning, I walked into my parents' house using the key I still had. They were at church, always at church on Tuesday mornings, keeping up appearances. In Dad's study, I found what I was looking for, a file labeled Edith, Medical. Inside was everything, the power of attorney documents, bank transfer authorizations, even a letter from their lawyer explaining how to make it all look legitimate. My hands were steady as I took photos of everything. Then I noticed something odd, a date on one of the witness signatures, March 20th. But the document was supposedly signed and notarized on March 15th. "What are you doing?" I turned to find Mom in the doorway, still in her church clothes. Her face was a mask of controlled fury. "Getting evidence," I said, holding up my phone. "Evidence?" She stepped forward. "Evidence of what? A family taking care of its own? Is that what you call stealing from your disabled daughter?" "Don't be dramatic, Edith. Jackson needed capital for his business. The money wasn't doing anyone any good just sitting in your account. It was paying for my physical therapy." "You're walking, aren't you?" She gestured at my cane. "Meanwhile, your brother has real potential. He just needs support." "Support?" I laughed. "He needs consequences. For once in his life, he needs to face consequences." Dad appeared behind Mom, his face red. "You ungrateful little—" He stopped himself, but I saw it in his eyes, the same look he'd given me when I got my promotion last year while Jackson was between ventures. "I'm going to fight this," I said, gripping my cane tighter. "I'm going to get my money back." "We're your family," Mom said, her voice hard. "You'd really hurt your own family?" "Funny. That's exactly what I've been asking myself about you." I pushed past them, my cane thumping against the hardwood floors they'd refinished with my money. Outside, Ciara was waiting in her car. "Got what you needed?" I nodded, buckling my seatbelt. They backdated the documents, made mistakes, got sloppy. "Apollo can meet us this afternoon," she said, pulling away from the curb. In my side mirror, I could see Mom and Dad standing in the doorway, watching us leave. "They really thought I'd just accept this," I said. "Roll over and take it, like always." Ciara glanced at me. "But you're not going to." "No." I clutched the phone with its damning photos. "They forgot something important." "What's that?" "They taught me that family comes first, but they never specified which family member." As we drove to meet Apollo, I felt something shift inside me. The last traces of the dutiful daughter were falling away, replaced by something harder, something forged in betrayal and strengthened by rage. They wanted to talk about family? Fine. I'd show them exactly what family loyalty looks like when it cuts both ways. Aunt Josephine's house smelled like cinnamon and old books, exactly as I remembered from childhood visits that abruptly stopped when I was 12. Mom had called her sister difficult and unstable. Now I wondered what that really meant. "I've been waiting for this visit," Josephine said, pouring tea into delicate cups. "Ever since I heard about your accident. Your mother wouldn't let me visit you in the hospital. She said you were traveling." Josephine's laugh was sharp. "Of course she did, just like she said I was too busy to attend Grandma's funeral." She set down the teapot. "But that's not why you're here, is it?" I placed my cane against the coffee table. "They took my settlement money, all of it." "For Jackson?" When I nodded, she closed her eyes. "History repeats itself." "What do you mean?" She disappeared into another room, returning with a wooden box. "Your brother's first business venture wasn't in college. It was Grandma's house." My hands froze around the teacup. "What?" "After Grandpa died, your grandmother had this beautiful Victorian house, paid off, perfect condition. Jackson convinced her to take out a second mortgage to invest in his sure-thing startup, some kind of social media platform for pets." "He was 19 then," I said, "still in college." 20. Your mother helped him forge the paperwork. When the business failed, your grandmother lost everything, had to sell the house for pennies on the dollar to cover the debt." Josephine's hands shook as she opened the box. "She died 6 months later. Broken heart, if you ask me." Letters spilled out, dozens of them. Josephine selected one and handed it to me. The paper was thin, the handwriting spidery but clear. "My dearest Josephine," I read aloud. "I fear I've made a terrible mistake. Jackson promises the business will turn around, but the bank is threatening foreclosure. Livia says I need to have faith in family, but I can't shake this feeling. He's just like his father, all charm and schemes that go nowhere. I should have listened to you." "Keep reading," Josephine said quietly. "The worst part is what this will do to little Edith. I've been saving that house for her, the only one in the family who reminds me of your father. Such a bright, determined girl. But now," my voice cracked, "now it will all be gone, just like everything else Gil touches." I looked up. "Gil? Dad?" Josephine nodded. "Before he married your mother, your father was quite the con artist. Small-time stuff, but enough to build a reputation. Your mother knew, she just didn't care. She was too dazzled by his promises of future wealth." "But Dad's an accountant." "Now he is. After his third bankruptcy, it was either go straight or go to jail. But old habits." She gestured at the letters. "Well, you've seen for yourself." My phone buzzed. A text from Jackson. "Hey sis, can we talk? Mom's really upset. Let's work this out as a family." "They always use that word," I said. "Family, like it's a shield." "It's a weapon," Josephine corrected. "They use it to control you, to justify everything. Your mother learned that from our mother, who learned it from hers. But you know what's interesting about family trees?" "What?" "Sometimes the healthiest thing to do is prune them." She handed me another letter, this one newer. "I wrote this to your mother after your accident. She sent it back unopened." Inside was a check for $50,000. "For Edith's care," the note read, "because some family actually means it." "I couldn't get it to you directly," Josephine said. "They had control of everything while you were recovering, but I kept it, just in case." My throat tightened. "Aunt Josephine." "Take it. Use it to fight them. And take these too." She pushed the box of letters toward me. "There's evidence in here. Patterns, dates, names. Your grandmother documented everything." As I stood to leave, leaning on my cane, Josephine caught my arm. "One more thing. Your father's old business partner, Marcus? He still lives in town. Owns that hardware store on Oak Street. He knows things about Gil that never made it into official records. I hugged her, breathing in that familiar cinnamon scent. Why didn't you ever tell me all this before? Would you have believed me? Sometimes people have to discover the truth on their own. She pulled back, her eyes fierce. Make them pay, Edith, not just for you, but for everyone they've hurt along the way. Driving home, the box of letters beside me, I thought about family trees, about roots and rot, and how sometimes the strongest branches are the ones that grow in new directions. My phone buzzed again, Mom this time. Family meeting tonight, non-negotiable. I smiled. They had no idea what kind of storm was coming. Apollo's office wasn't what I expected. No mahogany desk or leather chairs, just a clean modern space with floor-to-ceiling windows. He looked younger than I imagined, but his eyes were sharp as he reviewed the documents spread across his desk. This is... He paused, adjusting his glasses. Well, frankly, this is amateur hour fraud. They weren't even trying to hide it. They didn't think they had to, I said. They thought I wouldn't fight back. Their mistake. He tapped the power of attorney documents. These dates alone are enough to start criminal proceedings, but there's more, isn't there? I nodded toward Kiara, who pulled Grandma's letters from her bag. My aunt provided these. They show a pattern. Apollo read through them quickly, his expression darkening. This is good, very good, but we need more. He picked up his phone. Let me call someone. 20 minutes later, a woman walked in, tall, athletic, with close-cropped gray hair and reading glasses on a chain. I'm Penny, she said, shaking my hand. Apollo tells me you need a financial investigator. Can you trace where my money went? Penny smiled. Honey, I can trace a dollar bill through a hurricane. Give me 48 hours. She wasn't exaggerating. 2 days later, we sat in Apollo's office reviewing her findings. The web of transactions she'd uncovered made my head spin. Your brother's been busy, Penny said, pointing to a diagram. Shell companies, fake invoices, circular transfers. Classic money laundering, but sloppy. He kept using variations of the same company names. Innovation Ventures, Future Tech Solutions, Next Wave Dynamics. And this one, Apollo added, circling an entry. Registered 3 days after they got power of attorney. Kelly Family Consulting. That's not Jackson's style, I said. That's... Your father, Penny finished. He set up a separate company to siphon off funds. Look at this. She pulled up a document. A consulting contract for $30,000, signed by your father as both parties. He used your power of attorney to approve payment to himself. My hands clenched around my cane. Can we prove all this? Oh, sweetheart. Penny patted my arm. We already have. Apollo leaned forward. Here's what happens next. We file criminal complaints against your father for fraud and your brother for money laundering. Your mother's trickier. She was careful to keep her name off most documents. But we can get her on conspiracy charges. They'll lose everything, I said quietly. They already made that choice, Kiara reminded me, when they stole from you. My phone lit up with a text from Dad. Your mother's crying. Is this what you want? To tear apart your family? Before I could respond, another message appeared, from Jackson. Got investors interested in my new crypto project. Could double your money in 6 months. Let's talk? They're getting desperate, Apollo observed. They must suspect something's coming. Have you told anyone about our meetings? I shook my head. But I did visit Marcus at his hardware store yesterday. Dad's old partner? He was very informative. And Dad's been running numbers through his accounting firm. Small stuff, but illegal. Marcus kept records. He didn't trust Dad after getting burned in their partnership 20 years ago. Penny whistled. The IRS would love to hear about that. I'll contact Detective Hayes, Apollo said. He handles financial crimes. With what we have now, plus Marcus's evidence. He smiled. Your family's house of cards is about to collapse. My phone buzzed again. Mom this time. Family dinner tomorrow night. Non-negotiable. We need to discuss your attitude. Perfect timing, Apollo said. Wear a wire? I looked at the text, remembering all the family dinners where I'd sat quietly, being reasonable, watching Jackson charm our parents out of more money while I paid my own way through college. Yes, I said. I'll wear a wire. As we finished the meeting, Penny handed me one last document. Found this buried in the records. A second mortgage on your condo taken out 3 months ago. Your father forged your signature. I stared at the paper, seeing the familiar loops of Dad's handwriting pretending to be mine. $30,000 transferred directly to Jackson's latest venture. They're still doing it, I said. They're still stealing from me. Not for much longer, Apollo promised. Detective Hayes will be here tomorrow morning, once we file the complaints. They won't know what hit them, Penny finished. Walking out with Kiara, I felt lighter despite the weight of what was coming. My phone buzzed one more time, a group text from Mom. Dinner tomorrow, 7 p.m. sharp. Time to put this foolishness to rest. You ready for this? Ciara asked. I gripped my cane tighter, thinking of Grandma's letters, of Marcus's evidence, of all the years of manipulation and theft. They want a family dinner? I smiled. Let's give them one they'll never forget. The wire felt cold against my skin as Detective Hayes taped it in place. Remember, he said, we just need them talking naturally about the money. Don't push too hard. I smoothed my sweater, checking that the wire was invisible. Trust me, they'll talk. They love explaining why they're right. Mom's pot roast filled the house with familiar smells as I walked in. Everything looked normal. Family photos on the walls, Dad's golf trophies, Jackson's framed college diploma, all the props in their perfect family theater. Edith! Mom's smile was bright, brittle. So glad you decided to be reasonable. Wouldn't miss it. I handed her the wine I'd brought, her favorite red. Where's Jackson? Running late, as usual. She laughed like it was charming. Business meeting. Dad emerged from his study, barely looking at me. Dinner's ready. Let's eat while it's hot. We were halfway through the salad course when Jackson breezed in, all designer clothes and practiced charm. Sorry, investors, you know how it is. He kissed Mom's cheek. Smells amazing. How are the investors? Dad asked eagerly. Any bites? Actually, yes, Jackson grinned, helping himself to pot roast. Had a great meeting today. They love the concept. Social media meets cryptocurrency meets artificial intelligence. We're talking serious money. That's wonderful, honey, Mom beamed. See, Edith? Your brother's making things happen. That money didn't go to waste. I took a slow sip of wine. My money. Our money, Mom corrected. Family money, which reminds me, we need to discuss your recent behavior. My behavior? These accusations, these threats. It's not healthy, sweetheart. She reached for my hand. I pulled back. What's not healthy is stealing from your disabled daughter. Now see here, Dad started, but Jackson cut him off. Sis, you're looking at this all wrong. I'm building something huge. Once it takes off, everyone wins. The family wins. Like Grandma won? The words hung in the air like smoke. Mom's fork clattered against her plate. Who have you been talking to? Aunt Josephine sends her regards. That woman, Mom spat, has no right. To what? Tell me the truth? About Grandma's house? About Dad's past? Dad's face went red. That's ancient history. Is it? I pulled out my phone, scrolled to a photo. This mortgage document is from 3 months ago. That's my signature, Dad, except I never signed it. You ungrateful little... He caught himself, forced a smile. Everything we've done has been for this family. Some of us were born to carry more, Jackson said, smirking, and some to limp behind. The wire felt hot against my skin now. I wondered if the detective could hear my heart pounding. So that's it? I asked. You take my settlement, forge my signature, steal my future, and I'm supposed to be grateful? Don't be dramatic, Mom sighed. You're working again. You're walking. Meanwhile, Jackson needs capital to realize his potential. His potential? I laughed. How many failed businesses is that now, Jackson? 6? 7? The market is volatile. The market isn't the problem. You are, and you too. I looked at my parents. You're worse. You're enablers. Enough! Dad slammed his hand on the table. I won't be lectured by what, Dad? The daughter who actually succeeded? Who paid her own way? Who didn't need constant bailouts? We're done discussing this, Mom said firmly. You need to forgive and move on. Jackson reached for the wine. Yeah, sis. Besides, there's more coming soon. Dad fixed it yesterday. Everything's sorted with the bank. My blood ran cold. What do you mean? The investment loan, using your condo as collateral. Don't worry, it's all handled. Mom shot him a warning look, but it was too late. I stood up, my cane knocking against the table. You're still doing it. You're still stealing from me. Sit down, Dad ordered. We're not finished. Oh, we are. I moved toward the door. We're more finished than you know. Edith, Mom's voice cracked like a whip. If you walk out that door, don't bother coming back. I turned, looking at them one last time. Mom with her perfect makeup, Dad with his practiced scowl, Jackson with his empty smile, my family, my jailers. Don't worry, I said. I won't. Outside, Chiara was waiting in her car. Got what you needed? I touched the wire under my sweater, thinking of Jackson's admission about the new loan, Dad's fury, Mom's threats. Oh, yes, I said. I got everything. Detective Hayes spread the contents of my dossier across his desk like he was dealing cards, bank statements, forged documents, Grandma's letters, Marcus's evidence, the wire recording from dinner, each piece another nail in my family's coffin. This is thorough, he said, examining a financial chart Penny had prepared. Very thorough. Apollo sat beside me, reviewing his own copies. The wire recording is particularly damning. Jackson practically confessed to ongoing fraud. And the new loan? I asked. Hayes nodded. We've frozen that transaction. Your father's attempt to take out another mortgage in your name? That's the cherry on top. Multiple counts of fraud, identity theft, conspiracy. My hands trembled slightly on my cane. What happens now? Now? Hayes leaned back. Now we move. But there's something else you should know. He pulled out another file. Your brother's been under investigation for securities fraud. Separate case, different department. He's been selling unregistered securities, making false promises to investors. Of course he has, I said, feeling oddly calm. Your evidence could trigger a RICO investigation. That's serious federal charges. Apollo touched my arm. You can still back out. Keep it civil. Just sue for restitution. I thought of Jackson's smirk across the dinner table, Mom's cold dismissal, Dad's rage when challenged. No, I want it all on record. Hayes nodded and reached for his phone. 10 minutes later, a woman in a sharp suit entered, Assistant District Attorney Sarah Martinez. Walk me through it, she said, taking a seat. For the next hour, we laid out the case. The original theft of my settlement, the forged power of attorney, the money laundering through Jackson's shell companies, Dad's fraudulent consulting fees, the attempted new mortgage. And here, Apollo added, pulling out Marcus's statement, evidence of long-term tax fraud through the accounting firm. Martinez took notes, her expression growing harder with each detail. The IRS will be very interested in this. Your father's entire practice could be audited. What about my mother? I asked. Conspiracy charges for starters. The wire recording has her admitting knowledge of the fraud, plus we have her signature on several key documents. My phone buzzed. Jackson again. Hey sis, can we talk? Got a great opportunity for you. Time sensitive. I showed it to Hayes, who smiled grimly. Still trying to run his game. Classic. Martinez stood, gathering the files. I'll have the warrants ready within the hour. How do you want to handle the arrests? Arrests? The word felt strange in my mouth. Your father and brother, certainly. Your mother will be served, but probably not taken into custody initially. I thought about it. They'll be at home. Thursday is bridge club. Mom never misses it. Tomorrow morning, then, Hayes said. Give them one last night of peace. As we left the station, Chiara was waiting outside. How'd it go? It's done, I said. Warrants tomorrow. She hugged me tight. You did the right thing. Did I? My voice cracked slightly. They're still my family. No, Chiara said firmly. They're people who happen to share your DNA. They stopped being family when they stole your future. My phone buzzed again. Mom this time. We're worried about you, sweetheart. Come home. Let's talk this through properly. Then Dad. Don't do anything rash. Family has to stick together. Finally, Jackson. Sis, great news. Just need a small bridge loan. Dad says he can arrange everything. I turned off my phone. What now? Chiara asked. Now we wait. I looked up at the darkening sky. Tomorrow morning, their whole world falls apart. And you? She squeezed my shoulder. What about your world? I gripped my cane, thinking of Aunt Josephine's words about pruning family trees, about Grandma's letters, full of regret and warning, about all the years I'd spent trying to be the good daughter, the understanding sister, the one who never caused trouble. My world, I smiled. My world's just beginning. Apollo called later that night. Everything's set. Detective Hayes has the warrants. They'll move at 9 a.m. I want to be there, I said. Edith. Not to confront them, just to watch. I need to see it. A pause. I'll pick you up at 8:30. We can park across the street. I hung up and went to my window, looking out at the city lights. Somewhere out there, my family was going about their evening, probably planning their next scheme, never imagining that in less than 12 hours, their carefully constructed facade would shatter. Mom would be setting out her clothes for bridge club. Dad would be in his study, working late. Jackson would be smooth-talking some new investor. And I was finally free. The morning was crisp and clear as Apollo parked across from my parents' house. Chiara sat in the back seat with me, holding my hand. 3 police cars waited around the corner, lights off, engines idling. 9 o'clock, Apollo said, checking his watch. Right on cue, Mom stepped out onto the front porch in her bridge club outfit. Cream-colored pantsuit, pearls, perfect hair. She was checking her phone when the first police car rounded the corner. Her head snapped up. The phone slipped from her fingers. Here we go, Chiara whispered. Detective Hayes led the approach, flanked by 4 officers. Mom's face went ghost white as they climbed the porch steps. Mrs. Kelly? Hayes held up his badge. We have some warrants to execute. This is ridiculous, Mom said, but her voice trembled. Gilbert! Jackson! Dad appeared in the doorway, still in his robe. What's the meaning of... He stopped cold when he saw the officers. Sir, please step outside. Now wait just a minute. Dad? Jackson's voice carried from inside. What's going on? Hayes nodded to 2 officers, who entered the house. Moments later, they emerged with Jackson, who was trying to button his designer shirt while protesting loudly. This is a mistake. Do you know who I am? My lawyers will. Your lawyers will be very busy, Hayes said, pulling out a document. Gilbert Kelly, you're under arrest for fraud, identity theft, and conspiracy. Jackson Kelly, you're under arrest for securities fraud, money laundering, and conspiracy to commit wire fraud. This is absurd, Mom's voice rose to a shriek. We're respected members of this community. Neighbors were emerging from their houses now, watching the scene unfold. Mrs. Peterson from next door stood on her lawn in her bathrobe, hand over her mouth. Mr. Turner across the street was filming with his phone. You can't do this, Dad protested as an officer began reading him his rights. This is a family matter. A family matter? Hayes raised an eyebrow. Stealing from your disabled daughter is a family matter? Jackson's head whipped around. Edith? Edith did this? That's when he saw our car. Even from across the street, I could see the moment recognition hit him. his face contorted with rage. "You bitch!" he screamed. "After everything we did for you." "Sir, you have the right to remain silent, boy," the officer said, tightening his handcuffs. "I strongly suggest you use it." Mom started toward our car, but Hayes blocked her path. "Ma'am, I have some documents for you as well. You're being charged with conspiracy to commit fraud." "My own daughter," she said, staring at me through the windshield. "My own flesh and blood." "Funny," I whispered, though she couldn't hear me. I was just thinking the same thing. They led Dad and Jackson to separate cars. Dad went quietly, head down, but Jackson kept shouting about his lawyers, his investors, his rights. Mom stood on the porch, clutching her court summons, watching her perfect world crumble. Mrs. Peterson approached her. "Livia, what's happening?" Mom turned, mask firmly in place. "Just a misunderstanding, Margaret. Nothing to worry about." But Mrs. Peterson was already backing away, horror on her face, as she finally saw through the facade. The police cars pulled away, carrying my father and brother to booking. Mom went inside, slamming the door so hard the windows rattled. Her bridge club outfit would go unworn today. "You okay?" Kiara squeezed my hand. "I don't know what I am," I said honestly. "You're free," Apollo said, starting the car. "That's what you are." As we pulled away, I saw movement at my parents' window, Mom watching us leave. For a moment, our eyes met. I expected to see hatred or rage, but instead I saw something worse. Nothing. Just empty space where love should have been. "The DA will need you to testify," Apollo said as we drove, "but the evidence is solid. With the wire recording and Marcus's testimony—" "They'll take plea deals," I said. "They always take the easy way out." "What about the house?" Kiara asked. "Once their assets are frozen—" "Let it go," I said. "Let them keep their shrine to false appearances. I have everything I need." My phone buzzed. Aunt Josephine. "Just saw the news. Your grandmother would be proud." I looked back one last time at the house where I grew up, where I learned that family could be both sword and shield, where I finally learned to fight back. The morning sun caught my cane, making the metal gleam like justice. The key slides into my new apartment's lock with a satisfying click. The place still smells of fresh paint and possibility. Wide doorways, smooth floors, and grab bars in all the right places. Everything designed for someone with mobility issues. "Last box," Ciara announces, setting it down in the kitchen. "Want me to help you unpack?" "Actually," I pull out 2 wine glasses. I think it's time to celebrate. We settle on my new couch, picked specifically because it's the perfect height for easy transfers on bad leg days. Through the window, I can see the city skyline, a view I never thought I'd afford again. My phone buzzes. Apollo. "Plea deals finalized. Jackson, 5 years. Your father 18 months plus restitution, full confession." "They took the deals," I tell Kiara, showing her the text. "Of course they did." She sips her wine. "Your mother?" 3 years probation, community service, and she has to pay back everything they stole. I laugh softly. "Apparently she's selling her jewelry collection." "Good." Kiara's voice is fierce. "Those pearls were bought with your money anyway." Another text arrives. "Penny, IRS audit complete. Your father's firm is finished. Every client is being investigated." You know what's funny? I set my phone down. I always thought revenge would feel, I don't know, colder, like ice, but it doesn't. What does it feel like? Before I can answer, there's a knock at the door. Through the peephole, I see Mom standing there, looking smaller somehow, without her usual perfect outfit and makeup. "You don't have to answer," Kiara says. But I'm already opening the door. Mom's eyes dart around the apartment, taking in the accessibility features, the view, the fresh start she tried to steal from me. "Nice place." "What do you want?" She pulls out an envelope. "Your grandmother's letters. I found more, hidden in the attic. Thought you should have them." She pauses. And this. She hands me a small velvet box. Inside is Grandma's sapphire ring, the one Mom always said was lost. She wanted you to have it, Mom says. I just couldn't stand that she chose you, that everyone always chose you. Chose me? You and Dad threw everything you had at Jackson. I had to fight for every scrap of attention. No. Her laugh is bitter. Jackson needed us. You were always stronger, smarter, better. Even after the accident, you just kept going. Do you know how that felt? Watching you succeed while my son failed? So you punished me for it. We thought. She stops, starts again. I thought if we could just give Jackson enough support, enough chances, he'd finally... Her voice cracks. I was wrong about everything. Yes, I say. You were. She turns to leave, then stops. The restitution payments will start next week. I sold everything I could. It won't make up for... but it's something. After she's gone, Ciara helps me open Grandma's letters. In the last one, dated just before she died, she wrote, My dearest Edith, remember that family isn't just blood, it's truth. Choose your family wisely and let the truth set you free. I look at Ciara, who's been by my side through everything, at the text from Apollo and Penny, who fought for me, at the card from Aunt Josephine on my counter. You never answered, Ciara says. What does revenge feel like? I touch Grandma's ring, now on my finger. It feels like healing. My phone buzzes one last time, a news alert about Jackson's sentencing. There's a quote from him, still blaming everyone else, still my parents' golden child, even in an orange jumpsuit. You know what they taught me? I say, turning off my phone. That blood comes first. That family is everything. And I smile, thinking of all the family I've chosen, all the truth I've embraced, all the strength I never knew I had until they tried to break me. They forgot something important, I say, raising my wine glass. Some blood clots. Ciara clinks her glass against mine. Outside, the sun sets on my new life, one built on truth, justice, and the kind of family that doesn't need lies to survive. I grip my cane, stand up, and walk to the window. Below, the city pulses with life and possibility. Behind me, Grandma's letters whisper their wisdom. Around me, my chosen family keeps me strong. And somewhere across town, in a house built on lies, my mother sits alone with the consequences of her choices. My father faces his first night in prison. My brother learns that charm can't unlock a cell door. But me, I'm finally, truly home.